Oh my goodness. You're in here, say hello. Oh my god. Unbelievable. What a win. What a win. Santangelo just nailed it again. Uh Matt Santangelo. So my god, how he was able what a win, man. 1 second. I'll get to some of the comments. I'm just trying to grab this and retweet this stuff. No idea on Santangelo. He's probably busy at the moment. Okay, who do we have in here? Kindness Roberto. Pulisic, absolute animal. The amount this guy can cover, incredible player. Musa did great today. Great for him. Inter on Monday, indeed, indeed, indeed. How about that? How about that? That is signature Sergio Conceição. Signature. That type of performance is exactly how his Porto sides used to pull out wins. I mean, just absolutely everything that you want to see from a Milan side and the way that they perform in big moments, big games, and grinding out a result like this was phenomenal. I absolutely jinxed the first goal on Twitter, hand up. When I said that Milan looked more structured in the first 20 minutes, and then Teo Hernandez had an absolute brain fart of a play, which allowed that goal to happen. Maybe Mike Magnan should have done a bit better. I don't deny that whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about somebody who really has the capability of turning around a team's mentality. And that's exactly why I wanted someone like Conceição months ago, let alone today. So, for Milan to pull out a result like this, in the situation that they're in with the lack of players that they have, it was just great. They really didn't give up. They should have scored more too. You could have maybe argued for Juve, but Milan should have had three. Teo Hernandez's miss was insanely uncharacteristic of him, but that has been his season. That has been dating back to last year. He's really struggling as much as I like this player. But again, how about it? And this is the first Italian team Juve has lost to this year. They've been undefeated in the league. They've been fighting Coppa Italia. Their only losses have come in the Champions League. So for Milan to come through here is great. And this is in comeback fashion as well. It basically seemed like for quite some time that anytime Milan would go down, you kind of felt like that game was over. Milan here in this instance end up scoring. Just great. I love it. I love it. I people like calling this a fluke, this and that. No, guys, come on. This is how you grind out wins. This is awesome. And by the way, finances are crazy. Goodness. At worst case now, Milan will be getting 5 million euro. But again, what a weird ass season this would be if Milan beat Inter twice, don't lose to Juve, and they come out with a Super Cup and they're sitting here, in eighth place doing terrible in Serie A. I think this is really an important fixture to get the ball rolling on the season. I know obviously it's far too late, I think, in Serie A to do much damage for the Scudetto or anything. Like, I would be stunned if they got into the top three. That would be stunning. I still maintain that they will finish in a Champions League spot this year after this hiring. A lot of fixtures coming up in a short amount of days. So we'll see how Conceição handles that. We had Pulisic pretty much play the entire match, which was a big surprise. We'll see how they handle him this coming Sunday. Loftus-Cheek and Leao could be returning for that one. So that could be a boost for Milan in that sense. But in general, just you really have to be very excited. And this is why results matter. Was this the prettiest game from Milan? No. Was this the game where they were dominating on all fronts? Absolutely not. But they did everything within their power to win this game. And that's exactly the type of shockwave that this team needed, whether or not you agree with the way players were handling things and the way that the past manager was. Everybody knew they needed a victory like this in a position like this against a team like this. This was so good. This was sweet. This finally, I don't care about what happened in the Derby, that first match. It was great. The win against Real Madrid was great. This one, for me, my favorite win of the season. I think this is my favorite win because of the situation that the club was in, how much embarrassment has been going on for the past couple of days, or sorry, weeks, excuse me. Well, this really goes further back than weeks, but specifically since the 125th anniversary, the sacking of Paulo Fonseca. For me, this was something that, Milan can be proud of and absolutely build off of. Again, we don't know. They could lose against Inter on Monday. But I think this sort of fight and showing themselves that they can pull this off is big. It really is. I think for Juve, that's a really difficult loss for them to swallow. Maybe better off that they don't have to play another game. They're going through a lot of growing pains. They're clearly not good enough offensively. I think Yildiz is a star. I think most people who tune in and watch that kid know how capable he is of being great. But bar none, you just got to love the fight, the resolve within this team. I'll try and go through some of the performances. I thought some performances from certain players were overrated. I thought some have been consistently still crap, and others just not much to kind of speak about. For me, today we'll kind of get into the whole entire lineup with this. So how about we go from the starting point? We know we're missing Rafael Leao. Loftus-Cheek did not recover in time. Musa obviously coming off the bench. So the Jimenez, Morata, Pulisic with the Reinders, Fofana, Benacer, Hernandez, Chao, Tomori, Royal. Let's go through all this. I really we'll start with the defense. I love the decision to start Fikayo Tomori in this match. I think someone like Fick needs that sort of confidence boost that he's been lacking for quite some time. He has been a player who has been subpar since returning from his injury last year in early 2024. I think that really hindered him and affected him. This isn't excuse making because he's been horrid for quite some time. To see him get his opportunity and seize it, and for the most part, I thought he did well. I'm happy for him. Chao continues the ball moving in terms of his ability of defending and just scratching the surface of his potential, which I think is great. But we'll see. Still a very raw player. Emerson Royale, listen, Fatmob is going to tell you 7.4. I thought today was a decent shift. I don't think he was a calamity like he is most of the time. This was solid enough to give Royale a little bit of a break over the 90. I thought his first half was very weak. And then we go over to Theo Hernandez. What else can we say about Theo? In general, I really like the player. I think this is a phenomenal player. I think he is the top of his position when he wants to be. The problem with him having this awful attitude, and you see it within his sprinting and the way that he covers as a defender and the way his game is going to age over the course of his career, it causes a lot of concern. I still believe in that. I still think it might be an issue. Today, it wasn't great at all. A lot of what went poorly for Milan today can be pointed back at him. I thought he was the flop of the match. And it's sad to say because I don't want to dislike this player. I don't like disliking any player on this team. But the way Theo was handling things with that awful job defending, missing the chance in front of goal is like another thing as well. I just thought he was lacking. But in that, the last 20 minutes or so, I got to say he did a really nice job. I thought he did a job of, whatever, forget everything that happened prior in the first 70 minutes, put that behind you and just put a good performance forward for 20 minutes, seal the victory, and most of the people will forget it. I hope it's a jumping point for him. But overall, I think the large concerns around this player is worrisome in my eyes. And then we'll get to the midfield now. Reinders. Okay, not really too much for Milan to do that. Milan had a very different style today. Their style of allowing Juve to have the ball for the most part. There wasn't this sort of, insane high intensity, high line press that we've seen with Pioli and attempted with Fonseca. We really saw a Milan side that was just trying to be organized and structured, staying within their lines, not overcommitting defensively where they would get hit on the counter. They did get sawed open on some counterattacks, but it wasn't a glaring problem throughout the match like we've seen most of this year. So Reinders, I think all midfielders today, for the most part, were mediocre. Fofana, nothing much to boast about either. I don't think there was grave errors. A lot of people defending the Benacer performance today. For me, I thought it was subpar. I really do. I don't necessarily agree with all these statistics that get put out on his ground duels and all this stuff. The decision making from Benacer today was tragic. It was a real problem. Physically, I think it might change for him, but I don't see a drastic change in his physical ability. This has been a player who has been injured time and time again. I really have a hard time going off of, oh, well, Benacer was out for 3 months. Of course he's going to look rusty. Brother, he's always out for 3 months. Do you see the problem here? Do we see the problem? And I'm not here to pick out this individual player. I disagree greatly with a lot of people who said that he was the best player today. For me, I do not see that. I think a lot of the opportunities that he didn't have were some poor passes out in front of the defense that really put Milan in a difficult spot at times. They were lucky to get away with it. I thought his really poor timing in releasing the ball on the counterattack in which he was fouled by McKennie was frustrating. It was annoying. It was a negative. But in whole, I don't think he was awful, but I don't think he was good either. I think this whole idea that Benacer was the best player in that game or the half in which he played is a lie. I think that's just fabrication. I think I would give it to one of actually the center backs or even Jimenez. I don't think there was anyone particularly great in that first half. I thought it was a lot of mediocrity mixed with some bad play. And this is coming from a big Benacer fan, so people are going to conflate this. This is just not the same player. This is not a player you can rely upon when it comes to health, and I think that's a massive issue moving forward when Milan are a team that needs more bodies. They need more midfielders. They need somebody that they could rely upon on a consistent basis. How many times can we say that about Benacer? Like, we have to wait for him until February to get back into shape. You see the problem here? We're talking about a player who's done nothing from August till February, if that's the case, right? So with me, I like Benacer, overrated performance. We'll get into the attacking now. Jimenez, in my opinion, did all that he could in this match, given his age, his experience, the amount of possessions that he's had to play since being called upon. When he did get the ball, I thought he did some nice things. He attempted some crosses in there. There was nobody able to kind of receive on the end of those, and that's not really a thing Milan do well, creating and scoring off of crosses from open play. They do a little bit better job on set pieces, and the set pieces were horrible today. We're talking across the board. Reinders, Fofana. Reinders especially, I thought very poor. Benacer, I think, only had one good cross. So for me, I was kind of disappointed in that. Morata, you appreciate the work off the ball. You appreciate the way that he plays in terms of, trying to do so much and pressing, but he's just not a true nine. He's not a number 9 that Milan needs. I don't think there's ever really a situation or scenario where Milan is competing for trophies and Morata is your main number 9. I think that's more of the problem. In a match like this, you can get away with it. It was fine. It was whatever. He's rather non-existent, to be honest with you. You could argue he's the weakest of the 11 today, and I would have no qualms with that. And Pulisic, I mean, this guy is unbelievable. Not being able to play for such a long time, scoring the penalty. I mean, it was stunning that Di Gregorio didn't even say that it was essentially hit right at him. So to have that in Milan's situation here, where Pulisic comes back, he scores a penalty, and this is why he should be the main penalty taker for Milan, and that's why it's going to be the case moving forward. Again, he got a man of the match rating. I'm perfectly fine with it, and it's just funny to me how one player doesn't play for a month, able to play for 90 minutes, no excuses, you know. And then again with Magnan, I thought Magnan put in a solid shift. That goal, I have mixed feelings on it. I blame Theo Hernandez, number 1. Then I go with Mike Magnan second. It feels like Magnan should have done better, sort of in that near post area. Was also ripped really hard, and not many players get the opportunity to take a chance like that. So I think, again, with Magnan and Theo, that could be a combination there, more so on Theo. I would say like 70% Theo Hernandez, 30% on Magnan. At least get a hand to it, a touch to it. There was nothing there. So yeah, that was my entire thoughts on Milan starting 11. We can get into the substitutes, because the substitutes I love in terms of the way this goes. And now you're in there. You used to give the team too much credit, says Faisal. Faisal, when has that been the case? I ripped them. on a consistent basis. So that's an interesting comment. But yeah, the substitutes. I think the substitutes are very important because of one thing. We are hearing rumors and whispers, not hearing rumors. We know that Conceição had used a 4-4-2 in the past. We saw it today pretty much. Tammy playing off of Morata. Tammy, I thought, did a really great job off the bench. I think when you come off the bench in a situation and in a match like this, the way Musa and Tammy both played did fantastic. Ball carrying ability, having the opportunities to create something on counterattacks, not losing the ball so easily. I thought they did a very nice job today in terms of that. So kudos to them. Terracciano, Gabbia did their dirty work for those 13 minutes or so that they were on the pitch. So kudos to them. We've had a ton of comments in here. We're over 200 people. Hey, everybody who's tuning in, we thank you so much from myself and Matt Santangelo. If you guys really want to support the channel, we've been growing immensely as of late, been doing a lot going on Tactical Manager's channel, Rabona TV as well. Again, like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We appreciate all of you. Quick shout out to Juve Cornercast. GG's, big up to you and Milan. Hopefully you guys can smash into in the final. We're hoping, man. Give him a follow, guys, a subscribe. Very nice Juve fan doing what he can to start content. Be polite, be kind, go and talk to the guy, and be decent. Okay, so I think there's a couple comments filtering through. I want to get on Juve's performances in a bit. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Antonio Vitiello says, after 2-1 victory against Juventus, Conceição gathered the team in front of Magnan, 1-minute speech, then a collective hug. This guy, I'm telling you, I said it yesterday on the podcast, he's going to be Milan's manager for a few years. I'm telling you right now, this guy, he's the one. For me, he's the leader. That's the exact type of guy that I want. Let's see. There were a couple other comments here. I think Pulisic had some post-match comments. So let's get to them. This is from Nicola Skira. So let's get into what was said here. We are in the final thanks to great team spirit. Even if we didn't do well in the first half in the derby, we want to repeat ourselves like in the championship. They are a good team, but we want to win against Inter. Pretty much cookie cutter stuff from Pulisic. Very, very well PR trained. Good job on him. Very happy for him. Again, this is just great for me, and I know a lot of fans too. Now, that wanted Conceição. Very hard not to be happy with today's performance. Truthfully, I like everything about this was exactly what you wanted. I know it's a week-to-week basis with this team, but I think we can all agree with the way things are going and the way this manager has his teams playing. This is what they're able to do. They're able to grind out a victory against a really tough opponent. And again, I'd repeat this. Milan are the first Italian team to beat Juventus this year. Juve had not been beaten all year. So to have this was great. It's just great. It was just great, honestly. I know I keep repeating myself. I have to catch my breath here. Just phenomenal. Now we got a derby. Sorry, I was reading something. Damn, we have a lot of Hispanic speakers in here. So hello. Again, appreciate you guys so much. I might do a solo video recap tonight on this game and push that out. But again, everything leading up to this match was just phenomenal. Just the players that were missing here. It's just the type of win. Go down 1-0, conceding the same goal. I think that's kind of a big talking point here was when Milan concede this year, very similar to the one that they did today, where it's just a total brain fart in terms of, like, what are you doing? When you see Teo defend the way he defends, and a lot of these goals, the way they were conceded by defenders this year, you're sort of like, how does a professional do that? How does it, like, forget about formation, Fonseca this, Pioli that. How does a defender like Teo, Emerson Royale, Chao, Tomori, Gabbia, all these, but not Gabbia really, but how do all these guys sit there and concede on the goals that they concede on? sometimes you're sitting there saying to yourself, this is of not the professional level. And it's increasingly frustrating. And it usually avalanches into something worse, into a greater loss. For Milan today, they came back and showed balls of steel. Um, because for me, when oh wait, there Milan did tweet out a video, so I wanna get this. I had not been able to figure out how to get the volume out of the speakers in terms for you guys to hear it. This is really Benacer leading the group. Just have to turn that around. You notice Sergio Conceição here with his arm around Teo. So I think that's a very important thing to note. I'm gonna make a tweet about that. I know you guys have had tons of questions. I saw Darwin Nunez pop up. Is that correct that you guys were asking about? What I want, Darwin Nunez on loan is not even realistic. I don't think that's like a thing that should even be thought about. For me, Nunez, I mean, like, no, because so like there's two different realities, right? There's the what are Milan able to kind of afford and pay up for a player, and is that player attainable in terms of signing, or do you go in and grab a player like this or spend a ton of money upwards of 60, 70 million for a striker, which feels highly unlikely at this point? Darwin's price is unknown. We don't know how Arne Slot will view him. I don't think he leaves in January for Liverpool. Liverpool have huge capabilities of winning multiple trophies this year. I think they're going to win the Premier League at this rate. Nunez as a whole, as a player, is incredibly frustrating. I think he does a lot of good things, but he's not great in particular for one thing. Um, and for me, Milan need a great striker. They need a bomber. They don't need somebody who has more issues in terms of finishing. And if you look at the goal count at Benfica, that's a ton of chances created by Benfica. It's not so much Nunez is this worldy scorer. And again, that's if he was, then Liverpool wouldn't be interested in selling him, right? So you kind of get a mixed bag here on what a price could be. I don't believe in the prices. 45 million is what's being floated. Liverpool invested a ton of money into this player. For them to cut him loose for a cut rate price would be very shocking. I don't think Nunez mentally might be able to handle a club like Milan. He's had issues struggling and adapting. I think for Serie A, he would fit well. But if we're talking about Milan and Milan standards, right? Do we say that that he is a player of those standards? My answer is no. Would I lose my mind if Darwin showed up? No, but if you're investing 45 million in a player, like this goes back to the Xerxes thing over the summer, why would I want to invest said money in this player if that's the ceiling for our budget for a player at that position? For me, you either go at a cut price, half of that amount, and you get a guy you could develop, or you use that 40 million or so and use it for another position. Go for a defensive midfielder. Go for a right back. It doesn't have to be married to one spot. And the same can go for center back, by the way. Like if a Buongiorno is available, like you spend that money. You don't second guess yourselves. So with that, it's all about strategy in the market. I don't think Tammy Abraham will be staying, but and I'm not saying, Andy, this is where you're confusing. What I'm saying is I don't think those guys are Milan standards. This is why I'm saying what I want and what I think is not what management thinks. I don't think you cut costs or cut corners at the striker position when you're Milan. This is Milan. Sorry. You can figure out a package for Yerkes and these elite bomber strikers. You can. They can do it. They literally can, but they're choosing not to because they view it too big of a risk. It's literally possible, but they're not going to do it. Okay. And I would like to show a graphic that we tweeted out yesterday. Excuse me for not knowing the network that had this. But again, right here, I'll pull it up. These are the wages and where they're going for certain players on Milan, right? So if we look here wage-wise, they're allocating wages to Morata, Tammy Abraham, Divock Origi, and Chukwueze. If you look at the amount in wages that they pay for 4 players, it's insane. We're talking about 17 million net. Okay? You're telling me they couldn't get a player here for 6 million net? They couldn't get them for 8 million net? Players around all of Europe. Figure out a structure for transfer fee. They're incapable of doing that. Look at that, man. They're willing to pay that money on the wage books to begin with. Do we understand that? Like it's insane. So for me, I think it's difficult. But again, I just kind of want to wrap up here because there isn't that much left to talk about. We'll see what we can do in terms of talking to content creators. Thiago Mota has some comments. So yeah, in general, I appreciate you guys so much. I will be doing a solo video kind of shortly after this, just kind of highlighting how Milan did this game, see how it does. Again, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, and commenting. We should be back on Monday for the Supercoppa final. I will let you guys know everything about that. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Penalty and own goal, yeah, balls of steel. I don't understand the comment. He's too good right now to get him. Oh yeah, I don't even think this is going to happen, Anthony. I think people are insane. The reports are not even viable. But just to answer a question, a hypothetical, if this Darman's not coming in, it's not for 45 million. Like it's a joke. We'll see. We'll see. But again, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. 236 of you. 200 of you hopefully like the video at the very least. And I hope some of you stay as new subscribers. I'll answer one last question because Nico asked it. Martino, do you think Musa with his work rate? I think any player willing to basically like die on the field and put in the amount of work that Musa does has a spot in Conceição's team. Now, whether he develops into something that people thought he could be, maybe. That remains to be seen. But again, look out for the video. Watch the latest episode. Shout out Mr. Santangelo. 2 matches in a row. He gets it correct. 2-1 victory for Milan in the Supercoppa. So good call on you, Santangelo, once again. Other than that, thank you guys so much. See you soon.